So once again, can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning to everyone. Let me firstly introduce myself. My name is Michal Hošek, and I have a pleasure to moderate today's discussions and also the whole conference. And it's a pleasure for me to invite you or to welcome you all in Prague. Just let me correct myself because I said that there will be a consecutive translation or interpretation. It will not be consecutive, it will be simultaneous. So don't worry, we will save some time. Before we will start with the program itself and with introductory speeches, I would like to shortly say what you can expect today, what is in the program. We have 3 blocks of presentations. First is about adaptive management, the second is about communication and education, and third, that will be split to 2 parts or subparts, will be about ecosystem services and socioeconomic benefits. After the lunch, you will have a set of speed presentations. We have a limited time. I would like to ask you all to keep your time as it is in the agenda in order to save some time also for discussions and for your questions. Let me also inform you that the whole conference, today's program, is streamed. So those that are not with us, face-to-face, in person, they can watch the program also on a YouTube. I think this is a channel of YouTube. And now we can start with the technical part of the conference. And before I will give a floor to a first Czech representative, let me also invite here and welcome here a Slovak delegation. We have 3 and we are honored that we have 3 representatives here. And this is State Secretary Filip Kufa from the Ministry of the Environment of Slovak Republic. It's Director of Slovak State Nature Conservancy, Roman Vajt. And third, but not, of course, the last one, is Kamil Kyšela, Chief Director of Section for Nature Conservation from the Ministry of the Environment of Slovak Republic. If he's not here, he is coming. He is coming. And now let me ask Michal Servus, the Chief Director of Section for Nature Conservation from the Czech Ministry of the Environment, to open the conference.
Tak dámy a pánové, hezké dopoledne. Já se omlouvám, kolegové mi nachystali dlouhý projev v češtině. Nestihli to přeložit, takže budu mluvit česky, ale aspoň jsem to hodně proškrtal, takže budu stručný. Já bych vás rád co nejsrdečněji přivítal na závěrečné konferenci tohoto projektu Jedna příroda, kde se setkávají odborníci, partneři, zástupci institucí z České republiky a ze zahraničí, abychom společně uzavřeli několik let intenzivní práce a sdíleli výsledky a zkušenosti. Projekt Jedna příroda představuje v českém prostředí mimořádný krok směrem k moderní datově podložené a zároveň prakticky orientované ochraně přírody. O to cennější je, že ty výsledky nevznikaly izolovaně, ale v úzké spolupráci napříč sektory mezi státní správou, vědeckými institucemi, nevládními organizacemi a i hospodáři v krajině. Mé poděkování patří všem partnerům projektu, řešitelským týmům, odborným garantům i dalším spolupracujícím institucím. Bez jejich nasazení, odborné erudice a schopnosti hledat kompromisy by nebylo možné dosáhnout výsledků, které se tady dnes budou prezentovat. Zvlášť bych také rád poděkoval partnerům ze Slovenské republiky za dlouhodobou a přínosnou spolupráci. Společná historie, podobné přírodní podmínky i sdílené výzvy nám umožnily hledat řešení, které mají skutečný přesah za hranice jednotlivých států. Vážím si otevřenosti, odbornosti a ochoty sdílet zkušenosti, které tuto spolupráci provázejí. A teď ten závěr. Přeji vám inspirativní jednání, otevřenou diskuzi a nové podněty, které pomohou dále rozvíjet spolupráci v oblasti ochrany přírody nejen mezi našimi zeměmi, ale napříč celou Evropou. Děkuji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. And now let me give the floor to Petr Havel, head of the Department of Protected Areas from the Czech Ministry of the Environment, who was with the project from the beginning.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone, colleagues, friends. Very happy to be here today, to see all of you smiling, hopefully, after arriving safely to Prague. So I'm going to shortly introduce the project, because I was there, I think, 10 years ago when we first thought about maybe enhancing a little bit our nature directives implementation in the Czech Republic. But I'm not going to go in too much detail over every single aspect of it, because there's going to be a lot of more interesting speakers throughout the day, so I'm just going to do a quick overview of all of the aspects that we tapped into during the One Nature project. And I'm supposed to somehow switch the slides, right? How I do that? Okay, just a short introduction to our situation in terms of Natura 2000 on our territory. Thanks, Sandra. Well, it covers about 14% of our territory, which is something around, I would say, mediocre in throughout the European Union. And we got a lot of small-scale sites, more than 1,000 actually. And recently we have already also designated a new SPA, which is after 20 years the new SPA. Even though the Brussels didn't tell us to do so, we did on our own because we thought it's necessary. Yes, a lot of various sizes, natural conditions, which kind of reflects our nature, the character of our nature in general. And obviously, quite a long time ago, we thought that, we implement nature directives very well. We have ticked all the boxes, no blank spots there. I mean, if you ask the European Commission, they might think otherwise, but at the same time, we thought, let's just try to bring some more things, enhance the implementation a bit. So that's when we came up with the One Nature project, and we realized that somehow we need to interconnect all of our implementation efforts. That we do everything, I think, quite well, but at the same time, there was no something more advanced, something that is not necessarily expected from the state administration, but the actions would indeed mean something to implement the law better. So. There was a new tool. Back then, the integrated projects were a pretty new thing. I think that was a first or second, term of those projects. And so we decided, okay, let's go for it. Let's try it. So in our free time, during nights and every time we had some free time, we just wrote the project, and it was like really huge effort. I remember it quite well, but I mean, we were not really sure what to expect, and at the same time, whether there's going to be a success in the end. But we kind of were pleasantly surprised that it happened, and there was this approval from the European Commission. So in January 2019, we started the project. And it's about to be concluded in the end of this year somehow, hopefully. And that's why we are meeting here today. Obviously, the budget, over 20 million euros, 60% of which is paid or contributed by European Commission. Very happy for that. And in a nutshell, a lot of text in this slides, but you'll hear, I guess, about every single of those activities and milestones in detail throughout the whole day. So just a few takeaway notes, really. What we wanted to do, because obviously we do assess the status of habitats and species on the scale of the entire country every 6 years, as habitats directives, habitats directive, this is an obligation. But what we wanted to know and obviously just focus on was the site level. and how to actually assess the status of habitats and species on a site level. So we developed a methodology. It's unbelievably complicated one, and it took, I think, like 3, 4, 5 years to, and it's not even finished now. And so we assessed, I think, around 2,500 of species and habitats in several sites. So that was a great effort, and that was something that we wanted to do, and that's something that we also try to do in our national designation schemes now. So this has some implications for what we now would like to do on the in a national context. The management cycle or adaptive management cycle, we'll hear a lot about that in the morning session, so I'm not going to go in detail over that. Obviously, a huge part of the project, cooperation with landowners and land users, and somehow focusing on making the whole cycle of planning, conducting the management, more operational and more systemic. So that was one of the quite important aspects. What we realized that 10 years ago, that we need to focus on the or we might tap into the ecosystem services concept because, not only is fashionable recently, but at the same time, it might help us to actually perform state administration efforts. So, or help us to, let's say, monetize or somehow quantify what's the benefits of the Natura 2000 and the related ecosystems. So that was another important aspect of the project. Obviously, some of the educational aspects and information to public, management effectiveness, updating management plans, all of that, I'm not going to go in very much detail into it. So it might seem that the whole project is not 100% coherent inside, but it's about, or what is about, was filling the blank spots, just ticking the boxes that where we feel this needs a little bit more help. Okay, the adaptive management cycle. That's one of the core ideas in the project. So I've already talked about the evaluation of target features at different sites, and it's all the part of all that is a part of that cycle where we want to assess, then prioritize what's necessary in a specific site, then talk to owners or landowners, land managers. Landowners, land managers in terms of how to implement the management. Why does this keep happening? And also because we wanted the project to show some results on the ground as well. That was a bit influenced by the input of the European Commission. So we, based on that request, or even, it was our intention as well, we spent around 10 million or over 10 million crowns each year to implement prioritized management in several sites. So that was a pretty important aspect of the project as well. Back to the ecosystem services, quite important thing. We have established something called National Platform for Ecosystem Services, where we wanted all the information, all the efforts, and all the scientific and relevant data to be concentrated in one spot, in one place, in one platform. So this body meets around once per year. And it is to be sustained after the project is over, and we want to somehow use it as an advisory board for the ministry in terms of ecosystem services related topics. I'm not going to, again, go into very much detail into it because Katka will talk about it in the afternoon, but it's something that kind of stands up as a separate aspect of the project, but might not necessarily look very coherent with the other aspects of it, but a huge effort has been made in this area. There were like a couple of outputs of the projects that are worth mentioning. Something that might seem to already be here, that we already have it. But we wanted a lot of things just to be put on the paper and have a kind of a framework for our efforts. So we developed, among other things, methodology for communication with owners and users, and then that is a document where a lot of good experience and good examples are kind of described, and it's one of those things that I personally think that that's a really good one. Okay, a lot of training and e-learning modules as well for the not only for the nature conservation authorities, but that was one of the focuses of the project. But we've done, I think, over 160 of those trainings. What is something that we're proud of, and you might be able to maybe look at it or watch it as a part of a conference program, is the documentary film. It's called The Values of Nature, and it's accessible through YouTube. And it's a quite remarkable piece of art. Okay, and what has already been mentioned, we had connected with various projects throughout Europe, which is something that is an important element of the project as well. And one of these events is here in České Středohoří, where you can see the people are happy, except the guy in the middle, who seems a little bit grumpy. But at the same time, all of the others seem to enjoy it. So thank you for your attention. That was a very brief introduction of what's in store for you today. And just a short remark in the end. I've tapped into some of the important outcomes of the project and its goals, but it's mostly about the people, and so you can see the people are mostly happy here. So hopefully you'll be happy and you'll enjoy today's program as well. So thank you for your attention. That's all from my side.
Thank you, Petr, for introduction and for listing all the activities of the project, and we will go a bit into the depth of some of them in the upcoming presentations. If just one guy is not happy, that is okay. I think it's no problem. Now I would like to, because we have for adaptive management, now we are going to the first block, which is about the adaptive management in nature conservation. And I would like to ask my colleague, Jonáš Gaigr, to moderate the first block that is composed of 3 presentations, because he asked for that.
Thank you. That's always a challenge when giving a talk after Petr. Thanks. I don't need to, I can actually walk, but, good, thanks. Thank you for the word. Welcome all. It's good to see some familiar faces. So welcome to Prague. It's good to see some new faces, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you on the topics. I was the one responsible for main of the actions which are part of the implementing of adaptive management within the Natura 2000 network in Czechia. Petr mentioned that the aim of the project was to focus more at the level of individual sites and to improve the condition of the species and habitats that we protect. Within protected areas, we have 2 main range of tools. First would be the governance, second would be the management. And within the project, we focus at the management. Namely, the adaptive management, which allows us to react to the changes affecting the species and habitats more quickly, more swiftly, and be more hence effective when tackling the threats and pressures and the challenges that the time poses and presents to the target features that we focus on. When we focus at the individual sites, some of you may very well know the practice so far. These are the so-called standard data forms, the SDFs, and that has been the practice so far, adopted by the European Commission some time ago, and hence an obligation for all the member states. So for each Natura 2000 site, be it SAC, SCI, or SAP, SPA, the member states are obliged to file one of these once in a few years to report to the European Commission. And that, for many years, was the best information we had on the condition of species and habitats within the network. However, these do not, well, according to our experience, these do not provide the level of detail that all the stakeholders managing the sites, be it the site managers themselves or all the other stakeholders which have an effect, which actions have an effect on the species and habitats, cannot find the information that they would require for effective management within such format. For that reason, we decided that we want to build a better system, a national system, and we had 5 main, well, now as we look behind what we did during the past 5 years, we had 5 main ideas and how we actually perceive the system and what are our expectations from that. First, we would like it to be meaningful, so that the indicators that we use for the target features are based on the actually ecology, and the monitoring will in fact result in seeking the fulfillment of the good condition at the level of individual sites. We wanted that to be practical, so that the site managers which are responsible for the species and habitats can use that system to pull the information they can then use for better planning and better management of those sites. The system needs to be replicable, so that we can repeat the evaluation time and time again, so that we see the trends. We see whether our actions or inactions have in fact contributed towards improving the condition or made it worse. And so that we save some capacities and make it possible to run the system for all the more than 1,000 sites, more than almost 4,000 combinations of species and habitats and individual sites, we needed that to be semi-automated. So we can't afford to spend time going through all the databases and having the individual site managers to pull the data, analyze them, and report them. We need these site managers to push a button in the system and to receive the information from either the species occurrence database or the habitat mapping layer that contains the base information. And last, we are still trying to improve the system so that it's clear to all the users, be it site managers or other stakeholders, and we are trying to make sure that they easily understand what the results actually mean without needing to spend days or weeks with methodologies which are often site-specific or species and habitat-specific. So that brought us to this path from collecting fields in the data. I mentioned that we need the system to be replicable, so we needed standardized tools to be developed. We then store that information in the nature conservation occurrence database or habitat mapping layer. We evaluate those data automatically based on the algorithms which are coming from the methodologies that we've received at the very start of the project, but had been reviewing them constantly to make sure that we achieve those aims, the objectives that I've outlined. And we share the assessments after they are validated by the site managers within the Nature Conservation Information System, which is a novel set of IT tools that we had developed so that we could deliver what we promised within the project. And once those data are validated and confirmed by those who know the sites the best, we make that information accessible to the public. At this point, it would be fair to acknowledge and thank to all that are involved, starting with the data collection itself, and ending with the colleagues across institutions who had been involved in the methodology development and mainly with the validation of the results. Those has been hundreds of hours of work that we are very grateful for. So starting with the standard data collection, most PCs had no such system in place when we started. So for all of those, we needed to develop one of these that you see behind me. That is a Survey 123, which is an IT tool from S3 that allows the site managers or anyone collecting data to find the site that they are visiting, localize the exact occurrence of the species in case it had been found. In case the species is not absent, we still record that information and use it, because the fact that someone came to the site and actively looked for the species with given effort is one of the good signals that the species might actually not be present. And we also collect information on the indicators regarding the species habitat and information on all the threats and pressures that might or actually do affect the occurrence of the species at the given Natura 2000 site. All these information are then automatically transferred to the species occurrence database, where they are available to all those registered for most species. That includes all the nature conservation authorities. We don't have the time to go into the system of governance of Natura 2000 in Czechia, but at many sites it's quite complex, and there can be more than 2, actually more than 5 in some cases, nature protection authorities which share the responsibilities for improving or keeping the good condition of species and habitats. So these are the information that the site managers can then use to plan the actions. For some species, those are quite just a few. For other species, mainly the vascular plants, because botanists have a long tradition of keeping detailed records, we have a long list of various indicators which can point the site managers to the right direction when looking for the cause of worsened or bad condition. Same for the habitats. We have a great and I would say quite a unique scheme of habitat mapping, but those data are not as accessible as they could be, and hence not as used as they could be. This is how the comparison actually looks. If you look at the aerial photo and cover it with the database, you can see the level of detail that we reach. And what we did within the project, we developed a tool that allows all these stakeholders who want to access the data to actually do so, and to look not only at the occurrence itself, but on all the qualities and characteristics, including structure and function, which is growing in importance with the nature restoration regulation, quality, degradation, and all the other information that is necessary when planning action to improve the condition of that habitat. What we do then is that we group the information in the respective databases based on the occurrence site level and the protected area level, in this case the Natura 2000 site, and we compute the actual condition. That condition is then compared to the conservation objectives, and that allows us to set the condition, the evaluation itself. So we have 3 main statuses. The one we actually naturally want to achieve is the green one, the good, when we interpret that as that the further occurrence of that species or habitat in that quality that we decided to achieve is actually ensured. The one we are a bit worried about, but is still not that bad, is recent, and that's when we sense that there is a likely threat to further occurrence of the target feature in that site. And the one that we are trying to avoid and primarily improve, if that's the case, is bad, when we see that there's a clear threat to further occurrence of that species or habitat, and we need to take action. Of course, there is sometimes the unknown status. That means that we need to go back to the field and collect more data so that we can actually evaluate the condition. This should no longer be the case since we are just finishing the project and all the information should be available. We then calculate all the indicators regarding population and habitat of the species, and we upload that to the Nature Conservation Information System so that it's accessible to the users. The main information is the condition and trend itself, so that's how the site managers can then filter the sites that are their responsibilities, and they can plan accordingly. I've mentioned the system for validation procedure. We already have a good mechanism to validate the quality of the base data on the individual occurrences, but we realized that we need something very similar for the categorized or grouped data, the summarized data that we produce. So for that, we came up with this validation procedure so that we are sure that the data that the Nature Conservation Agency as the provider sends to the public and displays them is actually reflects the actual reality of the site. So we have site managers who go through the information that we provide them and they validate it so it can be used for further use, publicly displayed, and used to set up the full trends in the future. As Peter mentioned, we also made sure that we include the key stakeholders. So when developing or refining the system, we ask mainly the other nature conservation authorities, namely the regional governments, and we actually made the effort and visited all 14 of those to discuss the methodology, whether it makes sense to them, whether it's what we need to change if that's not the case and they want to, and we need to improve, and also to discuss the condition of the selected sites that we evaluated to be in bad condition, and to discuss the steps that can be taken in order to improve that site. Yeah, some of the validated results are also already publicly available. So if you go to the website of portal.nature.cz and do some clicking, you will find the site species list that will bring you to the individual profiles of the sites or profile of the species, because a similar list is available for each species, and each member of public or another stakeholder can view the species and see how many of those sites are in good, bad, or worsened condition. So overall, how is that species doing in Czechia or in Czech Natura 2000 network? Same for habitat types, and same for the individual indicators when it comes to the specific species at specific sites. So when we find that a species is in fact in a worsened or bad condition, we can then go to the system and look for the specific indicator which is likely to cause that fact. So in this case, that would be the water transparency that results in the overall worsened condition of Bombina at one of the sites. And also, we don't do that only that we know what is the condition. We do that because that's just one of the building blocks of a whole management effectiveness scheme that we are trying to build. We do that so that we can compare this information with the info on how well do we fulfill the management plan and what other pressures are maybe influencing the species or habitats. I'll not go into the pressures because there's no time, but this is the scope that we are taking now for evaluating the management. So we compare what we actually planned and we compare it what the reality is. And in some cases it overlaps nicely, like for this site, and others not so well. But that's the core that we are trying to achieve when introducing the IT tools that I just shortly introduced. So we have all these modules of the IT system, of the Nature Conservation Information System, where we first plan for both the management and the monitoring. We then go to the field where we either collect the data or do the mowing, grazing, or whatever we have planned for the species and habitats. And then once we get all the actions done and we record data in our databases, we evaluate so that we can return to the very first step, and based on the lessons learned, we plan again. That is what we believe that the core of adaptive management, or our interpretation of its implementation and practice is. So yeah, for one of the following conferences, I hope I will be able to present not only the condition evaluation, but also all the links to base data, information of management, and monitoring plans. So. Thank you. That's it from me. I don't think we have time for questions. So, but there will be a mini panel at the end where myself and my colleagues will take questions regarding the presentations and also the general ideas of adaptive management and the perks of its implementation. So now I would like to invite my colleague Sandra, who will talk about the planning itself and how we can improve that for habitats in Latvia.
Yeah. And this is, yeah?
Yeah, the large one brings you
Okay.
forward, the small one brings you back.
Good morning. It's a big honor to be the first after our host to speak about other experiences from other countries. And this morning I understand that I have now the first slide to introduce about Latvia, but I hope you all know where Latvia is. It's a small Baltic country with neighbors Lithuania and Estonia at the Baltic Sea, and we have a very nice seaside and forests along seaside. It's our proud of and a very nice capital, Riga, and I am Sandra Ikauniece, and today I represent Life IP project, LatViaNature, and our project is very complicated and big with a big number of stakeholders and a lot of different activities. And today we will be two representatives. My colleague at the afternoon will represent other topic of our project, but I will tell you maybe not so interesting thing, but a very important thing about habitat management plans, which is more about documents and some planning tools also we used, but not so practical thing. And the aim of habitat management plans which we prepared in last 2 years, was to improve conservation status of EU important habitats, of course. What else? We have 61 EU important habitats in Latvia, and last report shows that their conservation status is rather bad. As you see, 61% of them are we are assessed as unfavorable or bad conservation status. And here is a small graph to show this situation. And red one is bad situation, unfavorable, and there is shortly about in different habitat groups. The first is forests, and I am myself a forest expert, and of course my heart belongs to forests, and when I saw this information, it's very painful, I need to say. And one of the biggest aim of our project is to prepare these habitat action plans, to define measures to achieve a favorable conservation status for habitats, and to assess habitats in national level. Not just in protected territories, we assess them also in our project, but we finished assessing in Natura 2000 sites 2 years ago. And it also is a very important step to prepare national restoration plan. And habitat action plans will be valid for 12 years. And we prepared 21 habitat action plans for 56 habitats. As you see, it's not for all habitats, but we did not prepare for outcrops and marine habitats, and also habitats which require similar protection or management activities are grouped into a single action plan. And as a result, we have 6 plans for forests, freshwaters, and just 1 action plan for swamps and maya habitats. And what is the structure of our habitat action plans? Of course, it started with characteristics, ecology, but we didn't overwrite habitat guidelines or some instructions about impacts and threats and problems, of course. And as a result, we prepared solutions and proposals for practical restoration management, and also a bigger list, especially for forests, which is necessary to change in legislation to protect habitats. And one of the main aim was to identify territories which are priorities to protect, priorities to manage, because of course we have very good mapping of some years ago. We have a very nice project, Nature Census, and got data about all habitats in Latvia. With each polygon has its data sheet with different characteristics, and we got maps. It's a bit different map? Okay. And each polygon has information, and people usually ask, which is priority to protect, because it's not possible to protect all habitats in Latvia. And it was a very important task to define these territories which are priority to protection, and so on. We use this nature census data are put in our database, WUZUL's Nature Conservation official database. And also we use research monitoring data, different opinions from scientists, and also especially for forest and wooded dunes, we used state forest register data. It's other database which contain information about forests and compartment level, about species, about age, about some moisture and so on. And it's also very useful to understand what we have, what is and what to plan. 2 years ago, we calculated the favorable reference area for all habitats, and for forests was done very interesting modeling. But if you want to know more about this, you need to go to ECCB conference in July in Leiden, and my colleague will tell more about this methodology, how to calculate this favorable reference area. And also other data and stakeholders information, especially about bog woodlands. And one of important parts are proposals have been prepared for correction or expansion of Natura 2000 boundaries, because there is a small example of these are forest habitats and different qualities of these habitats and priorities for protection, and these are protected territories and these are habitat outside protected territories, and green ones are polygons of habitats with very high priority for protection, and it's question what next. Maybe include them into the protected territories and try to find other legislative tool to protect them, not to cut. And this modeling, which was done for forest habitat, is also very interesting. You are welcome to ECCB conference. It's not possible in such a short time to tell more about this modeling approach, which is done by using ArcGIS tools, and also we create this digital map for all habitats, not just for forests, but also for all habitats, and use quality assessment of forest habitat. We also prepared an algorithm to understand this quality of each polygon, and we use information in each polygon about structure and put together, and now it's possible to know what exactly is quality for this polygon, that polygon. It's good or bad, and it's based on structural components. It's not like an expert opinion, but it's better. And there are just some. There is just some examples for other habitats for primary dunes, which are very small, and it's possible exactly know where is necessary to do management, how many hectares, and what exactly is necessary to do. Also for wooded dunes, these are priority territories for management, and by management we also understand the necessity to make some changes in legislation, not just active but also passive activities are also management. And for freshwaters, you can see also some criteria which experts used to identify these management priorities. And where these HAPs will be used, of course, the first thing is in development of National Restoration Plan, which our ministry started in this spring, and we also took part for attracting different funds. It was a special chapter in management plans about possibilities to find different funds or money. And very important part is proposals for regulations, what's necessary to change to get better condition of habitats. Not allowed to cut forest habitats at first. It was very hard and very big issue, and with very hard discussions. And also discussion proposals for public. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Good contribution. I'm looking forward to hearing more in Leiden then. Now I would like to ask Michal Hošek if he would present the European-wide attempts to standardize and to provide good guidance on the project area management effectiveness, if I understand your project correctly.
Yes, and if not, I will explain it to you now. So. Sorry, I'm in quite strange situation because I'm a moderator of the whole conference, and I'm also here as a speaker, and I will moderate the mini panel later. So let's go back to management effectiveness or protected terrace management effectiveness evaluation. What we had, just to somehow frame what I will be talking about, you, Jonáš, you talked about the adaptive management as a cycle at the national level, which is quite comprehensive system and sophisticated one because the Czech Republic has a lot of data. Thank you, Sandra, because you talked about the habitat action plans, which is something very specific. This is a part of the whole system of the adaptive management. What I will talk about is the system of protected terrace management evaluation, which is something like stepping out of the adaptive management cycle and looking at what you do from outside. I later found, because it's quite good to have it here in the conference because this is the live preparatory study project that is subsidized directly by the European Commission. The consortium of partners that are implementing the project is composed of the Europark Federation, which is the association of protected area managers in Europe in more than 40 countries. DHP Conservation, which is a consultancy company that is based here in Prague and which I represent. Then we have Parks and Wildlife Finland as another partner. Nationale Naturlandschaften, which is the Association of Nature and National Parks in Germany. And we have also the Catalonian federal state government, because it's really very important for us to have an understanding how it works, not just in single states, not only the European Union ones, but also in federal countries, because they have a bit more sophisticated system how they share the data and how they have split competencies in nature conservation. What we do, I just ask you, who of you is a protected area manager? None of you. Who of you have some experience with management effectiveness tracking tool, which is the MET? Now we have something like a version 4. This is developed by WWF together with IUCN. Do you have some experience with this? No. Okay, I will be a bit shorter then, and I will try to explain you what I'm talking about, and maybe we can have a short talk later during the coffee or lunch. What we are trying to do is to develop for the European Commission something like a mainstreamed methodology, how you can assess your effectiveness of management of your protected area in your country. There are several other methodologies. Maybe you heard something about IUCN Green List, a kind of certification. This is another one, which is quite expensive, and also you need a bit more parts of the system because you need to establish a national advisory board for it, etc. What we do is that we, together with the European Environment Agency, because this is a partner also for us, we are developing an IT tool that will enable you to assess yourself. And the result should be that we will have an IT tool developed by the European Environment Agency. And what is quite new is that the system will be composed of two parts, not from the site level only, but also from the system level, which is, in other words, the national level, because we also want you to understand, if you assess yourself, what is the role of particular protected area in the whole network of protected areas in your country. And it covers also Natura 2000 network as well as nationally designated areas. So this is not just about, for example, Natura 2000 sites. They are very specific, quite strict. This is about the whole network as it is defined by biodiversity strategy of the European Union till 2030, because the first time we have also nationally designated areas as fully recognized protected areas at the European Union level. We have a pilot site testing. What I didn't tell you is that we are somewhere in the middle of the project, because now we are in a pilot phase and we will have more than 1.5 years more to finalize and to complete the methodology. And we piloted not only in the EU countries, but also in the EU candidate and associated countries like North Macedonia, Montenegro, and a few others. What is also important, because the IT tool that we are developing in a cooperation with the European Environment Agency will be pre-filled by information that are already reported by national states, by the EU states, to European Environment Agency. So we somehow suppose that at least 40% of data that you should assess should be already there, pre-filled by the EEA for Natura 2000 network. It will be a bit less for nationally designated areas because you report a bit less data about them. But what is important is that we don't want you to repeat something that you did already as a protected area manager or as a nation, as a national authority. There will be also a part of or a group of supporting information, so something that is not needed to be filled in by you or to assess. You will just do it if you want to do it. So to just make it this burden, or let's say the demand less demanding. We are covering those, and sorry that there are, this is my mistake that there are no 6 numbers. This is just one. Something happened in formatting, but maybe we can say that all are priorities. So this is about, so there are some, let's say, formal information about site information, conservation objectives, etc. What is very important is what are the conservation outcomes. Just to recognize that we are not talking about conservation outputs, something like to reach, for example, how many hectares you restored, but what is the result, what is the outcome, what is really a benefit or value for the nature. And what is important and what we feel is quite, maybe you don't have an experience with such a system, but maybe you have an experience with so-called biogeographical seminars. How many of you attended some of them? Better, thank you very much. Now I'm back somewhere in a group that understands me a bit. What is important and what we, at least in my group of professionals, what we miss is some system of regular meeting with our colleagues from other countries and sharing experience. Biogeographical seminars, they were excellent in it because you met other people from the same biogeographical region or from more regions that are close to natural conditions, and you could discuss what you do and how to do it better based on case studies, for example. It doesn't work now because the European Commission doesn't support such a system. That's why we are not focused just on a system and the assessment itself, but we would like to push the European Commission to continue with something like a framework or platform for protected area managers in order to have a communication tool for you to meet or at least to share online what you do with others and to connect with others, because this is something like a basis. This is, in my view, a first step in the whole process. And we already established that under the project. We are just starting. This is also a pilot phase, but if you want to join us, here is the QR code and you can do it. And you have the presentation available also. So thank you very much for your attention. And I will make a bit mess now in the moderating of this block, because I will take it back from Jonáš, and I would like to ask Jonáš and Sandra to come here, and we have some time for your questions. We have some that are already prepared by Jonáš, but before I will ask them, I would like to ask you if you have some questions. So we had a presentation of Jonáš about the Czech system, Sandra about habitat action plans from Latvia, and we also talked about management effectiveness of protected areas and its evaluation. There is a mic, so just raise a hand if you have some question. Yes. Then please use the, you can do it, you can do it. It will be a Slovak language, so please use your headphones now.
Moja otázka smeruje k tomu, vy ste mali v prezentácii tie mapové podklady, kde ste vlastne preklikávali v podstate pohľad ortofoto mapy. Následne tam boli vymapované, vykreslené biotopy. A tá sivá plocha bola napríklad, ktoré nie sú ešte determinované, tie biotopy. Otázka je, vy to máte normálne verejne publikované pre verejnosť, a ďalšia vec, koľko percent vlastne z biotopov v rámci Českej republiky máte už vymapované?
Yeah, sorry, I just need to translate switch back to English. The instinct would be to reply in Czech, naturally. So, yeah, the gray areas were not those that are unmapped. The gray areas in this version that I've shown were the ones that there's a mosaic of habitats. So, for each of those segments, each of those polygons, we either have a one habitat that is present, or there can be multiple because natural habitats often co-occur at one site. The unmapped regions would be the ones where the aerial photo was still uncovered by any polygons. And the system as it stands in Czechia is that we have all of territory split into some 3,000 large polygons. These are so-called update ranges, and we sent, as a nature conservation agency tasked by the ministry to do this, we sent a field vegetation ecologist to each of those roughly once in 12 or 15 years to update the information and to collect the data on all of the territory of that one large segment. So in theory, all of territory of Czechia is covered by this scheme.
Thank you. Clear? Other question? If not, then I will ask. And I will ask Sandra first. What is the main mistake you have made in witnessed concerning the implementation of adaptive management principles in practice in your country, in Latvia? It does not need to be just about habitat action plans, just about we talk about the adaptive management scheme as it is.
Adaptive management is rather a new topic in Latvia. We do not use this at this time. I can say we are just at the beginning of this. We have no information about all habitats. As I mentioned in this database was the status of different polygons, and in future we look to put also different information about management in this database as other layers of information, and then it will be used like adaptive management. But we just look to your project and think, yeah, it's also necessary to do for us too.
So this is a lack of data?
We have a lot of data, like picture what it is now. Mm-hmm. And yes, we have very good guidelines. We prepared in one of previous live projects about management. We have 6 books, guidelines to manage EU protected habitats, 1 book for each habitat. And for example, for grasslands, it's a very thick book and very, very detailed instructions, and also some trainings for locals, for landowners, how to use it, how to manage, but we are not yet in this stage of adaptive management.
Thank you. And Jonáš, how it is in Czech Republic?
Judging from, based on my experience and the 5 years I've spent on the project, it will be probably building a too complex and hard to understand tool without discussing with most of the users, because we've did some preparations at the first stages, mainly with the botanists and zoologists, and we then continued, somehow expecting that we did well. But the problem was that we asked the people who know the most about those species and habitats and expected their level of understanding from the rest of the community of users, including those who are not trained in zoology or botany or any other related field. They are just the site managers tasked with implementing the management. So that would be a lack of preparatory action and not going to the whole community before we start to develop something, because then we need to come to the very start and in some cases start from scratch again.
Thank you. Still? Yeah, there is a question from Petr Havel. Switch on yourself.
It should work? Okay. This is not staged, but maybe just to, for you to understand the habitat mapping cycle a little bit, Jonáš, what is the overall coverage of natural habitats in the Czech Republic? And because we are kind of proud of our habitat mapping system and cycle, so what are the main constraints of that system? Because the nature restoration law requires us to have the updated information every 6 years. And you said 12 to 15. So what are the main constraints on that regard in relation to that obligation? Thank you.
Yeah, you might have caught me with the oral coverage, but I believe it's about 25%.
18.
18. Ah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So I hope you believe me. The rest of my response, but
I will. But no.
yeah. By the way, Michael, you are responsible for the scheme itself. Thank you. But the main problem at this moment is that we have a lack of capacities both in funding and in personnel. So in funding, I suppose that there's no need to repeat that at our community, but there's a general lack of funding for nature conservation. Yeah, we can move on now. There's also a general lack of personnel, and especially when it comes to those trained in vegetation ecology and trained and willing at the same time to spend the most of the field season outside, regardless of weather or family plans, and to collect data in the field. Because for large portions of the Czech landscape, you need to move on foot, you need to cover quite extensive areas and often quite rugged terrain to go where you need to go, to collect all the information on the composition of the vegetation community, to classify that into habitat. And you need also all the experience to judge what the structure and function is and all the other characteristics that we collect. So the pool of experts that would be willing for that financial, for the finance that we now provide, and be at the same time skilled enough to collect those data is quite small. So I mentioned 12 to 15 years. The idea was that we keep it once in 12 years straight. When this scheme was designed in 2004, I believe, it was decided that it will be continued. But now we are at once in 15 years, and we fear that this frequency will be even lower. So that requires us to look into other options like remote sensing and prioritizing which areas do we actually focus on.
If I may, before I will give you another question. When we started more than 20 years ago to access the European Union and to prepare for that, we had more than 500 mappers that worked in the field and mapped habitat types. Now we have about 40 more or less persons, and this number is decreasing. And I think this is a general problem in nature conservation, that we have less and less people that are willing and experienced to work in the field.
I could also add about this. We also, when we had this project Nature Census some years ago, and as I know in Lithuania was the same project, very similar project at that time, and these experts, some kind of experts or trained people go in the field and map. It's very good, and what we can do after. And for forests is much easier because our USOS database is connected with State Forest Register, and when some cutting was done, we get information, and we can check how much we lost, how much forests are cut down, forest habitats, and it's about 1% per year. We lost forest habitats, and it's a huge number. And during nature census, each very big territories, we lost the forest habitats.
Yeah, thank you, Sandra. If there is no any other, there are two questions. Excellent.
Hi, hello. My name is Marta Hafner. I represent Polish Ministry of Climate and Environment. And sorry for being biased, but we work on our national restoration plan, and we know very well that till 2030, member states are allowed to concentrate their efforts on Natura 2000 sites in terms of Article 4. But then we have to go beyond Natura 2000 sites. And what's your take on this? What's your approach? Because for us, it's quite challenging to know what we have beyond Natura 2000 sites and what's the state of conservation and what it should be done. And also the fact that we have to think now about, keeping these places as in good condition and not to allow to damage them in any way. So it's a quite challenging because we have to think far ahead in the future. So have you any data on those sites or any plans how to do it?
Maybe let's start with Sandra, and then I'm not sure if Jonáš or Petr, you will answer about this national restoration plans on behalf of the Czech Republic.
In our case, it's very, we are really lucky. I think also like our neighbors Lithuanians, we had this mapping done in all country, and also when mapping was going on Lithuania, also we Latvians go to help them because there are not so much experts. And when we did this in Latvia, we also invited experts from Estonia, Lithuania, Belarus at that time, and they also come to us and train students and so on. And we got a very, very good information. I am really, really proud of it. But of course, now it's problems. The specialist staff is very, very small. We can't repeat this now.
Okay. Jonáš or Petr? Maybe Jonáš.
So maybe I'll start and please feel free to step in. Well, I would like to also say that we are quite well informed, but as I mentioned, that is the case for some regions where we have up-to-date data. Sometimes that up-to-date data is 15 years old. So it would be good to somehow intensify the habitat mapping effort, but first of all, there's no time. The nature restoration plan is to be handed in September, August. And second, there's the lack of financial capacities that would be poured into the system to maybe attract more colleagues.
Basically, Jonáš summed it up. The information is there because the habitat mapping scheme is nationwide. So we're, I guess, a little bit forward in that case compared to other member states. We do also have tools in our Act on Nature Conservation to try to protect those habitats outside the Natura 2000 sites. But the real manner, the way to do it and how to incorporate it into the new restoration plan is still yet to be decided. So naturally we'll, until 2030, somehow focus on the Natura 2000 sites, as well in relation to what we have developed within the One Nature project, just to connect the dots. Because like prioritization, management, adaptive cycle, it all kind of leads us to somehow focus on Natura 2000 sites in the first time horizon. And above that, we do have the information. It might be outdated, as Jonáš said, but we'll also focus on that because we just have to somehow.
Thank you. And we have a last question for this block.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Savas from Open University of Cyprus. First, let me thank you all for the presentation, very interesting presentations. I have a simple question relating to the lack of fund that you said before and the lack of personnel to go outside in the field and collect all those information, all those data. Of course, this is something that everyone are facing. In the case of your project and the tool that you have developed, from what I understood, the way to input data is systematic collection from expert scientists or zoologists. We are trying to develop something similar in Cyprus, not as fancy as yours, but for the last reporting, for the Article 17, for the case of reptiles and amphibians, what we found really helpful was using citizen science data. Is this something that you're going to incorporate in your tool, or it's out of the question because of the way that the tool is been built? Thank you.
Thank you for an excellent question. I think this is a very important aspect. Let's start with Jonáš because I'm sure that you have an answer about it, and then I would like to ask Sandra.
Thanks. So we uptake, regarding species, we uptake all the data from the species occurrence database. And there are several projects or initiatives active in Czechia, but if we take the example of an iNaturalist, which is a worldwide, widely used app, we take those data roughly once in a year or two. So we do take those data and we use it for the occurrence. But there's a limit to that, since the only information we can pull from those data is the occurrence itself, whether a species is present or not. We cannot get any information on the quality of the habitat, which is a major component of the system when we want to adjust the management to the species needs. Regarding habitats, that's a no, because we need someone to classify that habitat as a vegetation unit.
For habitats, the basis was this Nature Census project and other coming next projects which made some mapping, but for species, we also have this system of voluntary people who can make an application different information about species. It's called dabas dati, nature data, and in different groups, and in each group there are responsible some specialists who check this data and approve or not approve to put them in this database. And Nature Conservation Agency periodically took this data from this database and put on our these usuals, and it's overlapped with habitats. And these data are also used in some. Also, when it was necessary to prepare this information for Article 17 about species and so on, and we use this. I don't know how often takes this data, maybe just now and once per year, and it's very, very, very important and very, very useful data from just nature lovers.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. Now we have a coffee break for 20 minutes. We are a bit out of time, but still this is manageable because this is just about 10 minutes.